Good evening, everybody. Really happy to see all you here tonight. I know a lot of you in here, and I think a lot of you already know my feelings on the subject that we're going to cover tonight. Very passionate about it. I think it's definitely the future. I think what you'll find tonight is that the investment that you make in your education on this topic over these next few years will be the best investment you'll ever make in your life. Just because this is just the way I see the world moving in that direction. So the more you can know right now and get familiar with it, you'll be able to adapt to the change that's coming. So congrats to everybody in this room tonight for taking the time to come here and having the foresight to know that maybe this is something that I should be aware of and seeking out education on it. So, and like Clint was saying, this is just class one. There's so much to cover when it comes to crypto. I had trouble putting this together because with it being the first class, I know that there's so many questions y'all probably have for me, and we'll do question time, but we're going to save that for the end because hopefully I answer a lot of the questions that we go through the presentation. But we will be doing more and more of these classes on different topics, and y'all the second group to do this, for me to do this for today. So, I'm asking everyone to give me some constructive criticism. I know that, y'all might not know anything about this, so if there's something I don't cover that you would have wished I'd have covered, or just write it down or tell me, I really would appreciate that so I can improve upon this. So without further ado, let's get into it. So Crypto Academy, cryptocurrency made simple. I got a confession, there's not much that's simple about this, but I'm going to try my hardest to break it down. But just because something's not simple, doesn't mean that we can't participate in it, right? I mean, do any of y'all actually know how your smartphones work? Do you really know how the internet works? Probably not, right? But we participate in it every single day. So there's no reason why, you should let that stop you just because you don't know everything there is to know about crypto. You never will. I never will. It's an evolving space. It's changing more rapidly than probably anything in the world right now. So point being, don't be scared to participate, just sometimes you gotta take a leap. So tonight, I titled this Getting Started, the Big Picture. So the first part of this presentation, I really thought it was important to explain the why. Why are we even talking about this? Why is this even a topic that is so predominant in our culture today? Why is there a Crypto.com arena coming out? Why are we going to see 6, 7 crypto commercials on the Super Bowl this weekend? What's the deal with this thing? Why? So I'm going to hopefully help answer that question tonight. And also kind of give you some tips on how you could participate if you want to. But something I got to preface tonight before we get started is none of what you're about to hear is financial advice. All right? There's a lot of red tape when it comes to cryptocurrency right now. We're going to see a lot of regulations happening over the next few years, and hopefully there will be a way that Robert's Wealth can, give you some direct access to these things. But right now, the most that we can do is just educate on the topic and just make you aware of it. So just gotta say it, not financial advice. So if you do choose to take that leap and get into this, just know, like every investment, it's got its risk, right? And there's always the risk that it's going to go to zero. So just keep that in mind and that's with any investment, right? All right, so let's get into it. So what is a cryptocurrency? A cryptocurrency, or crypto, that's kind of just slang, is a digital currency designed to work as a medium of exchange through a computer network that is not reliant on any central authority, such as a government, bank, to uphold or maintain it. Anybody think that last section right there might be kind of important in today's world? Yes. So that's, that brings up the why. And before I forget, I got to put on my hat because this goes with the theme of tonight. Okay? If you don't know, that's the Bitcoin symbol right there. So, you know, why is this even a thing that we're having to discuss tonight? It's because our current monetary system, our current monetary policy, our government, the Federal Reserve, the other governments around the world, the other central banks around the world, they failed us. Plain and simple, they failed us. And what does that failure look like? It looks like over 30 trillion in national debt, okay? And that's just what they're telling us about. This was updated just last night, or this morning, I guess. But that's just, you know, what they tell us about. It doesn't even include the promises made on the Medicare and the Social Security, all that you're supposed to get, right? So this is the failure. Big, fat, $30 trillion failure. Do we even know what $30 trillion look like? You know, can we even comprehend that? Well, I thought it'd be nice just to kind of show you what it would look like. So here's $100. Here's $10,000. Here's $1 million, $100 million, $1 billion, $1 trillion. That's a Boeing 747 over there. That's the White House. And then we've got 30 trillion. And that little toy thing in the back is the Statue of Liberty. I thought it was nice that they added the crane to this to, you know, show that it's just getting piled on, right? So that's what $30 trillion would look like in real life. I actually did the math, and based on the nation's population, if we just divided that up equally, and I know that's not very capitalistic, but we all get about 100 grand, every man, woman, and child, right?
We had it, but we don't have it.
Yeah, right. So this chart here, something else I wanted to point out, and I promise I'll tie this all back into the crypto. So the debt that we are at right now, as shown as a percent of GDP, we've crossed over that threshold that we crossed over back here in 1945, and we're over. This was in 2020, so now in 2022, we're over this now. We're over 100% of the GDP compared to the debt, which isn't a good thing. Back here, how did we handle it as a country? How did the Federal Reserve handle that? Well, you know, you can go back and look at the history books, but basically what they did is they engineered the economy to deleverage, okay? And, you know, they had their tools that they used to control, you know, the interest rates and all these things, kind of similar to what they're doing now, but we're in a much different situation now. I mean, I don't know what the dollar number was back there, but they couldn't even comprehend $1 trillion back there, right? So point being is we kind of got two options right now as a nation. We can either keep on the money printer, keep it going, and inflate this dollar into oblivion, right? Lose our reserve currency status, you know, and let, I guess, China take that role, but I don't think that we're going to do that. I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball, but if I had to guess, I don't think our country's going to let us lose that reserve currency status. So what's the other option? Well, we kind of got to do what we did back here. We got to engineer our way out of this. And to do that, there's got to be some type of, you know, crisis, or there's going to have to be something that takes place where we have an excuse to have this great reset. And that's not conspiracy theory anymore. That's out there in the openly talked about. They are openly, you know, pushing for us to just have a blank slate, right? But we're going to have a reason for something like that to happen. So what could one of those reasons be? You know, maybe we're going to go to war with Russia and China. A lot of that's out there now. Maybe there's going to be another biological weapon that gets accidentally released by our number one world competitor, right? Or maybe there's going to be this cyber attack that the IMF and a bunch of the global elitists have started simulating at the end of last year. Be very aware of the things that they simulate, because a lot of the things that they simulate happen to come true. Point being, there's something that's coming. We can all feel it. There's something coming. What's going to be left when the dust settles? Who knows, right? But let's ask the Federal Reserve. So just last month, January 2022, Federal Reserve released their white paper for money and payments, the US dollar in the age of digital transformation. In this white paper, which I would recommend you all to go read, they talk about how great digital currencies are going to be and how they are going to be a huge part of the future moving forward, and how it's vitally important that we start to implement this into our society. What is a central bank digital currency, or Fed coin, like I've called it here? Well, I'll read you this straight from the Federal Reserve's website. A central bank digital currency, or CBDC for short, is a digital form of central bank money that is widely available to the general public. Central bank money refers to money that is a liability of the central bank, the Federal Reserve. In the United States, there are currently two types of central bank money. You got your physical currency, like the money in our wallets, issued by the Federal Reserve, and you got digital balances that are held by the commercial banks at the Federal Reserve. While Americans have long held money predominantly in digital form, meaning, if you take your phone out, you go to your Regions or Hancock app and you see your balance on there, that's just digital money, right? That's what they're referring to here. For example, bank accounts, payment apps, or through online transactions, a CBDC, central bank digital currency, would differ from existing digital money available to the general public, because what a CBDC would be is a liability of the Federal Reserve, not of the commercial bank. That last part is vitally important. Do you understand what they're saying here? During this next reset, or whatever we're going to go through, they want to do business directly with you. They don't want to have to go through the commercial banking system and give them the Federal Reserve notes for them to turn around and give money to you. They want to be able to say, hey, Joe, that cyber attack that we just had, and you were all scared about your money going away? Well, we got the solution. We got this super secure Federal Reserve app. You just download it on your phone, and we're going to send you CBDC directly to your wallet on your phone. You use that, you take it to Subway, you take it to Starbucks, you just scan your phone, don't worry about anything. Life's going to be so simple, so great. And a bunch of idiots that are in my generation and younger are going to be like, yeah, that sounds awesome. But is it really a good idea, or is it the end of privacy as we know it, right? So the reason I bring this up is because the things I talk about tonight, they're being talked about at the highest levels. And so we're kind of in this situation now where we're moving into a digital era. We're moving into digital currencies. There's no doubt. It's just a matter of how it's all going to happen, how it's all going to play out. But something that they didn't count on, something that took them, I think, by surprise, was Bitcoin. And all these other cryptos, there's over 20,000 of them, but tonight we're going to focus on Bitcoin, mainly because it provided the foundation for everything that has come since. The technology that it brought, all the other cryptos have pretty much adopted that. They've improved somewhat upon them, but Bitcoin was the first, okay? And it predominantly controls the crypto market. So when Bitcoin goes up, typically all the other cryptos go up. When Bitcoin goes down, pretty much all the other ones go down too. The reason for that is, with it being the first, came out in 2008, was first listed on an exchange in 2010. It's got the biggest community, it's got the biggest support network, it's got, the most, it's been adopted by the most people, and it's also now being adopted the most by our financial institutions. We got banks where they say you can store your Bitcoin with them now. We've got the stock markets, there's some Bitcoin ETFs on the way, and some other of these things. So Bitcoin is being adopted by the financial legacy system the most compared to these other cryptos. And that's why we're going to focus on Bitcoin tonight. So the argument for Bitcoin, I think I've kind of already alluded to that. But first off, it's got an immutable monetary policy. So what does that word immutable mean? It means it can't be changed, right? The source code cannot be changed. A Bitcoin's a Bitcoin, a Bitcoin. There's nothing you can do about it, right? There's no central authority that can say, you know what, maybe we need some more Bitcoin. Let's go press this button and print some more, like we do with our dollars. That's not happening. There's a finite supply. There's only ever going to be 21 million ever made. We've already made, or when I say made, we minted, and we'll get into minting and mining. But 21 million is all that there will ever be. 18.5 million are already out there. The other 3 or 4 million, they're going to be mined all the way until about the year 2140. Okay? So, I think really that's pretty much the only argument you got to make for Bitcoin. 21 million? It's simple supply and demand, right?
I just did some math. 21 million times $50,000 is it's 3 times a trillion, whatever that means.
Yeah.
It's I don't even know how to express that kind of money.
Right.
What it's worth right now.
Right. It's independent of the fiat money system, which, is vitally important in my opinion, especially when you got these global elitists talking about a cyber attack on the system. It'd be nice to have something outside of that, right? Something that's independent, something that can be transferred or, moved without needing the banks to be operational. Oh, the bank's on a bank holiday? That's fine. I do most of my banking myself. Transparent transactions. This is a big one. Every single transaction that happens on the Bitcoin network, you can see it. You just got to go to the right websites. Okay? You can view the public blockchain is like basically it's a public ledger. Okay? Now it doesn't give you access to someone's name and where they're living and all this, but what it does tell you is the Bitcoin address. Okay? And everybody that has Bitcoin, if anybody in this room has Bitcoin, you have a Bitcoin address. Okay? It's a 16 character long, made of numbers and letters. It starts with a 1 or a 3, and basically you use that. Like if I wanted to send Mark some Bitcoin, I'd be like, hey Mark, send me your address, and I'd copy and paste it into my little thing on my phone and hit send, and then go directly to him because that address is significant to him. So the point being, it's transparent transactions. If I did that, if I sent him a little Bitcoin, everybody could see it. They wouldn't know that Brennan sent it to Mark, but they'd be able to see that there was X amount of Bitcoin sent from this wallet to this wallet, right? So there's no more hiding transactions. It's liquid, convertible 24/7 into 150 different national currencies. That's huge, right? And last but not least, Bitcoin can be self-stored offline. So there's a couple different ways you can store Bitcoin, and I won't get too into the details because I have to do this in another class, but basically there's different wallets, okay? There's wallets that you can have on the internet, online, like on your phone or on your laptop, and those are called hot wallets. They're connected to the internet, okay? They're great because they're convenient. They're the best for being able to do trading and being able to send, but they're not the most secure. Okay, they do have some vulnerabilities there. The biggest vulnerabilities usually come from the exchanges that they're left on, but that's a whole other topic. The other option is called a cold storage wallet. So that's something that can be taken offline. So, for instance, at home in my safe, next to my cash and next to my silver, I've got a USB drive that's got a little Bitcoin on it, and it just sits there, okay? And that's the equivalent to cash in the bank. It's offline, no one can mess with that, it's mine. If something happens here, I put that USB in my pocket, I could go to South America, I connect it to a computer, and I'll be all right. So a little background on the mechanics of Bitcoin. We kind of talked a little bit about some of these. I kind of addressed already why Bitcoin is the king of cryptos, and that might not stay that way forever. There's a lot of talk about maybe Ethereum and some others that could potentially pass it one day. But for the foreseeable future, Bitcoin will probably stay the top dog. And so, looking here at some of the mechanics of Bitcoin, it was the first decentralized digital currency, no banks involved. And I want to touch on decentralized real quick because I'm sure you've heard that word. What does decentralized really mean? There's not a central entity that controls Bitcoin. The beautiful thing about Bitcoin is that every single person that's involved in it, every single miner that's mining it, you're securing the network, because what happens is you become a node, like a little node on the network, okay? And so let's compare it to maybe, Apple has the cloud, right? That backs up all your data. Well, I don't know this for sure, but I assume Apple probably stores the computers, or maybe it's on a satellite, I don't know, but point being is it's in a central location. If something happens to that, well, the cloud's probably screwed, right? Bitcoin, on the other hand, for instance, China, they were one of the biggest miners in the entire world. They had most of the mining capability of Bitcoin, meaning that most of the network was over there in China. They just banned that, right? So pretty much over half of the Bitcoin network got shut down over like a couple of days when they decided to do that. Bitcoin's still around. Why is that? Because everywhere else in the world where there are people using it and mining it still secured the network. And all those miners just moved to next door to Kazakhstan and set up shop there, and network is just fine. So that's the beauty of decentralization, right? There's not a single point of weakness. The only way really, and I don't know this for sure, but I think the only way Bitcoin really goes down is you have to take out the whole internet. You have to take out all the satellites, take out all the computers, and that's not going to happen. Because even the people that are on the other side of this debate, they need the internet too, right? So I don't think the internet's going anywhere. So I don't think Bitcoin's going anywhere. Transactions directly between users, peer-to-peer, kind of gave you that. Example. I could send it directly to Mark. Transactions recorded in a public distributed ledger called the blockchain. There's a nice little infographic in that packet that I gave you that kind of gives you a easy to understand version of what the blockchain is. And so you can view that. I already went over that. I forget the name of the websites, but there's a couple different websites where you can look up transactions, right? So it's mined, right? I told you we were going to go over this. So what does it mean when a Bitcoin is being mined? Is someone out there actually mining for Bitcoin? No. What it is, it's these computer systems, these CPUs, GPU systems, and they are solving these complex math puzzles. And basically, the reward for these computer systems solving these problems is a block, okay? And a block is then put onto the blockchain. And a miner is rewarded X amount of Bitcoin per block, okay? Now, I'll go ahead and cover this. So, when Bitcoin first started, one block, a miner, had all their systems running and all these computer systems running, and they finally got their reward. One block yielded 50 Bitcoin, okay? Every 4 years, that gets cut in half, okay? So we've already had 3 halving events. That's what they're called, halving events. So from 2010 or 9 to 4 years later, it went from 50 Bitcoin that you could get per block to 25. And then 4 years after that, it went from 25 to 12.5. And then we just had the most recent halving event in 2020. And now, that same block, you can only get 6.25. So, point being, that kind of plays a role in the price. If you go back and you look at the Bitcoin chart, which I'll pull up here, and then you overlap the halving events, every time that a halving event happened, Bitcoin spiked. And why is that? Well, the miners control the price of the Bitcoin, right? Or at least they did in the beginning. Now it's, you know, a lot of corporations have gotten into it and manipulate the price some, but basically, you know, if a miner is only getting half as much as they were like 4 years ago, well, they're going to look more for that Bitcoin, right? Because it costs them energy in the form of, you know, electrical energy to run their machines to be able to mine that Bitcoin, all right? I know I kind of went on a little rabbit hole there, but I think that's important to kind of grasp. And if you read the white paper that I gave you, it goes into more detail with that. So who made Bitcoin? That's a big question. Well, no one still knows. It was created in 2009 by a mysterious person called Satoshi Nakamoto. That's Japanese, but we don't know if this guy's Japanese or not. You know, no one's publicly taking credit for it. There's speculation of some people that it could be. Some people think it could be a group of people. No one really knows. Okay. Total supply is 21 million. You know, we kind of went over that and how that leads to supply and demand and all that. And then I gave you a little infographic in there about this. Divisible to 100 millionth of one Bitcoin. The smallest unit of a Bitcoin is called a Satoshi. It's kind of fun, right? After the guy that made it. So that's one thing that really holds people back from getting involved in this space, is because they view it still as like one Bitcoin, you know, and like one stock of Meta or Netflix, you know. It's not like that. You can get a fraction of a Bitcoin. You don't have to get a whole thing all the way down to the, you know, you can just put $1 in if you want to. You'll have like 0.000001 Bitcoin, but you know, point being is you can. And then this is kind of funny here. The first real world transaction, and again, this is verifiable because you can view it on the blockchain, was done to buy 2 pizzas for 10,000 Bitcoin in May of 2010. Today, that's equal to about $440 million.
Right.
But those 2 good pieces, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, in his defense, I mean, back then Bitcoin was worth nothing, you know, so he didn't know. So, what makes Bitcoin the best performing asset in history? Well, look at this chart here. We've had, you know, some pretty big volatility over the years, but, you know, we started at a fraction of a penny, and now we hit 70K, we're back down to like 44,000 right now, but if you would have put $1,000 into Bitcoin 10 years ago, compared to these other big companies right here, for Google you'd have 6,000 today, Facebook you'd have 9,000, Amazon you'd have 22,000, Netflix 34,000, Tesla 159,000, and for Bitcoin you'd have a whopping $237 million. Yeah. So without a doubt, the best performing asset in history. And this was the chart that I was talking about. If you took and this isn't a very in-depth chart, but if you did overlap the halving events, you would see during some of these spikes that's when those halving events happen. And you know, a lot of people get scared over the dips that we're seeing, you know, recently and last year. Well, I mean, Bitcoin over its time, it's had so many 50, 60, 80, even a 90% correction. So this is the norm for Bitcoin, but over time, it does seem to just keep going up. So a lot of you are probably thinking, you know, the ship sailed, you know, it's $44,000. Even if I just put a little bit into it, I'll never be able to, you know, get enough that it's worth anything. But my response to that is you're wrong. There's no time like the present. So in 2021, the crypto market cap exploded from 1 trillion to 3 trillion in just 1 year. That's unprecedented. Global crypto users hit right at 3% of the world population as of January 2022. There we go back to our supply and demand, right? We only got 3% of the world involved in crypto right now. And you're telling me there's only 21 million Bitcoin out there? There's 9 billion of us on this planet? I mean, y'all do the math. In 2021, it only took a span of 4 months to double the global crypto population from 100 to 200 million. And then this here at the end, you know, that's just stock market jargon, right? The trend is your friend. So I agree. This was actually, I was surprised to find this article. It just came out yesterday, February 8th, by Forbes. It's still early, they say. Wells Fargo issues huge Bitcoin and Ethereum price predictions. And that's a pretty good article, actually, if you want to go look that up. And then here, this chart, I thought this was very interesting. I was really happy to find this. So, you know, you hear a lot of comparison to the age of, you know, the dot-com bubble and kind of what's going on right now. So what this line here is, this is the adoption rate of the internet. You know, down here it starts at 1993, going all the way to 2021, and it shows how that adoption curve really just took off, you know. It was kind of flat for the first few years, and then, well, what they allude to in this article by Forbes is we're kind of at that same point right now with crypto. So that dotted line is the crypto users currently. You know, we're in 2022 right here, and we're on the same trend, right? The trend is your friend. So they're basically predicting in this article that we're at this hyper adoption point, you know, where, and especially, you know, after all these ads come out in the Super Bowl, it's even more exposure, and, you know, it's going very mainstream this year, and it's not going to slow down. So the adoption rate is just going to really take off. Now, does that mean that Bitcoin is just going up from here? No, not at all. You know, there's a lot of institutional manipulation going on right now. A lot of the big boys, they want to try to maintain their control, right? And they feel like the only way that they can do that is to try to buy up all the Bitcoin. But what's the problem with that? They're just making the price go higher, right? Now, surely they can dump it on us and then try and buy it back up and get all the little folk out of it and scare us out of it, right? But I'd say just don't be scared. Hold your ground. I believe in supply and demand. And unless Bitcoin is going to be the first asset to go against the law of supply and demand, I think we're going to be okay. So how do you participate? That's what you're all here for, right? And let me preface this again. I'm not telling you to participate. This is simply how you can if you want to. First, you'd have to register with a crypto exchange, just like a stock market exchange, like TD Ameritrade or E-Trade or one of the, you know, Robinhood. There are exchanges that are solely for trading crypto. I put on here 3 of the most popular ones in the United States: Coinbase.com, Crypto.com, FTX.us. I'm sure you'll see a Super Bowl commercial for all of them this Sunday. And, you know, there's other exchanges that aren't U.S. based, but you got to be careful with that. There's some laws and regulations that you know, you're not supposed to be using some of those that are outside the country. So be careful with all that. But I would say if you do want to get involved, this would be the best place to start looking into. So once you register, and what does registration involve? Well, they're pretty thorough. You know, they want to see your ID picture, the front and the back, and they want to know, you know, your name, your address, and all these things. So you got to, you know, be a real life human being to register. Once they verify you, then you can deposit your fiat currency, which fiat is our dollars, right, or you know, pesos or yuan or whatever national currency. So you can deposit your fiat currency from your bank account or card to your wallet that is on the exchange that you just signed up for. And now you're able to buy the Bitcoin. Okay, you can, in the same manner as you would buy stock, pretty much. If any of you do any, you know, speculative trading yourselves with, you know, normal stock market stuff, it's kind of the same deal. And I got a little video to show you of someone that's actually making a purchase. And this is the this is the infographic I gave you guys. I think it's a great little infographic there to show you that, you know, again, you don't have to have $50,000 to get into Bitcoin. You just need $1.
When you say deposit,
Yes.
how?
Unless you just put your bank account information in there.
What if you don't want to use your bank account? Is there any other forms of?
So, you know, for the people that are, you know, concerned about that, don't want to hook up their bank account to that, I usually say, you know, maybe just open up another bank account and throw however much that you're willing to put in
Is there
there.
any way to
You can do it.
use a cashier's check or something?
I don't think so. I mean, every exchange has their own stuff. If you go to Google and you type in, is there any exchanges that'll take a check? Maybe, I don't know. But you can use a credit card on some of these exchanges, debit cards. Some even let you link like a PayPal account. So there are other avenues if you are not comfortable hooking up your bank account. Most people that, you know, aren't comfortable hooking up their bank account, I completely understand this stuff is foreign and it's, you know, not very trustworthy, right? But Coinbase is a publicly listed company on the New York Stock Exchange, so that sometimes that gives people a little, puts them at ease, you know, they are legitimate. Sorry.
Yeah, there's just some issues with, you know, the IRS tracking bank account deposits. So
Yeah, that's a whole
get around
nother.
that.
We could do a whole class on that, Mark. I know.
Yeah, okay, never mind.
Yeah.
Sorry, keep going.
No, I hear you, and that's a good point. You know, that's another reason I don't think that our country is moving in the direction like China did to ban it, right? We got 30 trillion in debt. They see the potential here. What do they want to do? They want their cut, right? They want their cut from all of us. So, you know, when you do your taxes, there is going to be a spot on there that says something like, are you involved in any cryptocurrency related activities? And if you are, check this box and this and that. Now, I'm not 100% sure if these companies are already reporting directly to the IRS to tell them that, like, you know, you're involved in it. I think maybe if you reach a certain threshold, dollar amount wise, they probably do. And they're probably moving in the direction to regulate the industry in that way to where Coinbase will be forced to report to the IRS, everyone that's involved in it. So, you know, there, you know, that comes with the territory, right? It's the government we're dealing with. So this little video I got for us here, it's a short little video, and this is assuming that you've already gone through the steps, and I think this is on Coinbase. Yes, I found one for using Coinbase, and this is on the mobile app. It looks very similar on the desktop version, but this is assuming that you've already gone through the process of registering and verifying an account, and you've already deposited your funds, and you're ready to buy now. Okay, so this is how that would work.
Here's how to buy Bitcoin on Coinbase. To invest in crypto using the Coinbase app, click on Trade. Under the Tradable tab, you'll find all the cryptocurrencies you can invest in through Coinbase. Scroll and press on them to see how they're performing and their price. Or search for one here. As examples for this video, we'll be buying Bitcoin. To buy Bitcoin, find or search for it, click on Trade, and then buy BTC to pay with cash. Tap the amount you want to spend, or the three dots to specify how much. An order preview will appear. You can see the Coinbase fees shown here. Tap Buy Now to process. Tap on Portfolio to view the value of your cryptocurrency.
You see it says 0.0002 on there? So yeah, again, you don't have to get a whole Bitcoin to get involved. So in closing, everybody, what is money? You know, I think that's kind of fun. What is money? Well, a long time ago, it was just bartering, right? Animals and seashells and whatever the heck else they bartered. Then we got a little fancy, started finding gold, thought this would be a good thing, started trading back and forth. We made it into metal coins. Then we got paper money. We got debit and credit cards, and we got online electronic transactions. And now we got cryptocurrency. This is just the next step in the evolution of money, but it's a little bit more than that. It really is going to be a paradigm shift. And I really don't think people quite understand the implications of what's going to come from this. I mean, the technology that makes Bitcoin secure and able to do what it does is going to be implemented into everything from real estate transactions to lawyers' contracts to the music industry. I mean, there's so many applications for this, and it's way, in my opinion, it's way bigger than the internet. It's not just magic internet money, and you gotta see the big picture. So, what's the message for tonight? Embrace change. You know, change is the only constant. It's the only thing that we can count on. Just because you don't like change, don't mean you can change anything about it, right? So, one of my favorite quotes by Ronald Reagan: "The future doesn't belong to the faint-hearted; it belongs to the brave." And then the best is yet to come. And that's all I got for you guys. Thank you.
All right, so
And we can do question time now.
all right, so how would you decide that what currency would be the best to buy at this time? You know, you get a lot of information. If you look at a stock, there's a lot of information out there about that stock for that company. How do you find out information about that crypto for that?
Well, I'm not going to make any recommendations to you, but I'll tell you the things that I look in for investment for a coin. I look for, the market cap. The bigger the market cap, usually the more people that are involved in it, the more support it has. So that's really important because really, that's what all these cryptos are. It's just communities of people that all believe in something, and I should have touched on that in the what is money thing, Why is the dollar still something that we're using? Because we all have confidence in it, right? It's the best thing we got. It's backed by the U.S. government, our military, and we're still top dog for now, right? I mean, that's really all money is. It's a way to transfer energy, and we have confidence in this piece of paper called the dollar to do that, right? So to answer your question, I mean, what I look for in a coin is the community, how big it is. Bitcoin is the biggest right now because it's just been around the longest. And also, does it have any use case? Does it have any utility? Like there's a coin called XRP that is it's tied up in litigation right now with the SEC and stuff. And, of the 20,000 coins out there, there's only a couple that are tied up in the courts right now. And so I take a close look at those, right? Because there's a reason the government don't like them. But it's pretty much going to be used for international transactions between banks. Okay. It's in a lot of litigation right now, but it's all, I think, for show. The people that were on, the SEC that were complaining about it, they wanted to do a discovery to see if any of them happened to own it. And wouldn't you know, they didn't want to answer that question, right? So there's some telltale signs there.
Yeah.
But that's, that's
So yeah, the only two I've heard of Bitcoin and Doge.
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 Yeah, Doge is a meme coin. It doesn't have any utility, but it has a huge community, right? And that community is primarily made up of the younger generation that saw a bunch of their friends getting rich, and they're like, I want to pop in on that, right? Because it was, it had the potential. It went from 0.004 up to 75 cents, right? So if you put some money into that, I had some friends that made over $50,000 doing that, right? So I mean, that was the main thing with Doge. It doesn't really have any use, It's just something that's been manipulated by, Elon Musk and some of these other actors. They're all making stupid money from it because they can control it with a tweet, right? So.
Have you heard of the coin of time?
Yeah, that's I don't want to get too much into specific coins just because I'm not here to make recommendations on what coins to get into and what not to get into. I would just say go to coinmarketcap.com. It's a good resource to look up any coins that you have, information on, if you want information on, but, you know, the time thing, that's a little more advanced. That's a part of a DAO, a decentralized autonomous organization, and it's, you know, plain and simple, it's essentially a Ponzi scheme, but it was working, you know. I mean, honestly, everything we got is a Ponzi scheme, when you think about it.
Now, what was that again, coin what?
CoinMarketCap.com.
So they only gonna be doing, only gonna be doing it here?
Doing what?
Like Bitcoin,
No, and that's something I touched on at the beginning. Currently, there's nothing that Roberts Wealth Management can do to directly help you do that. You know, right now we just have these educational stuff that we're doing, but you know, as regulation starts happening, and you know, not all regulation is a terrible thing because you know it'll give our industry the ability to offer these things to our clients without being worried about legal issues. All right. So as regulation happens over these next, you know, I mean, I don't think it'll take too long. Probably the next 2 to 5 years, we'll see regulation happen, and then at that point, possibly there's something we can do. But you know, tonight the main objective of tonight was to give you the big picture of why is crypto a thing. You know, why is it going to be a huge part of the future, and to maybe give you guys enough confidence to take that step to get into it yourself. You know.
So some of them are just pumped up like a .com thing.
Oh yeah, I mean, and you know, I wouldn't be surprised if, you know, of the 20,000 cryptocurrencies that there are, I wouldn't be surprised if 90% of them fail, just like 90% of the internet companies fail, right? So, yeah.
So are they doing like pump the dump stuff, or?
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm sure that's happening. I mean, without a doubt, and that's one of those, you know, not scary, but that's one of the risks of Bitcoin, and not being, or not Bitcoin, but of crypto in general. It's not regulated, you know. It's not like the stock market. If it falls, you know, however many percent, they stop everything. No more trading. That doesn't happen with Bitcoin.
And it's 24/7.
It's 24/7.
It never sleeps.
It never stops.
At night.
It never stops. And that's something else I'd tell you to be careful of, is if you do get involved in this, you can drive yourself crazy looking at it all the time. I know I did for a while, and had to kind of reel myself back in and get back on good graces with my wife. So, any other questions, guys? Yes, sir.
You talked about starting the Roberts Wealth Management community.
Yes.
What's the time frame on starting that? And what's it gonna,
Well,
it gonna entail
more of this.
more of this as far as
That's the first thing, you know. I can only do so many seminars here, but hopefully I can start recording some stuff and putting it, because we're starting it off as a YouTube page where you can have access and go look at different videos and educational stuff. So we will have that, but you know, it's going to evolve just like this whole cryptocurrency thing is evolving. You know, we don't really know what it's going to turn into. Hopefully it turns into something beautiful with a bunch of like-minded people that are embracing the future and, you know, all very happy about the decisions that we've made, right?
Well, that's why I was wondering if that was gonna cover some of, I think what you were saying, getting into to get physically started.
Yeah, again, the best we can do for you right now is kind of just, you know, lead a horse to water. You know, I'll show you, I'll point you in the right direction. But that's the most we can do right now. You know,
Okay.
just for legality reasons, and also there's nothing that we can provide you. You know, and even if there are things out there. You can go online and find Bitcoin IRAs and Bitcoin ETFs to get involved in. But if you do that, not that it's a bad thing, it'd probably be good over the long term. But it's kind of like getting in the stock market. You know, all of y'all are in the stock market, I assume. Do you have your stock certificates? Do you have those at home? Probably not, right? Not to say you don't own your stock, but you don't have the certificate. With Bitcoin, doing it in this way, going and signing up yourself, buying it from the exchange, you can own your Bitcoin. You will actually have and possess your Bitcoin. You can take it with you, you know. All you need is an internet connection. So, you know, even, I guess the point of that is even when the time comes that there is something Robert's Wealth can do, it's probably going to be in the sense of like, you know, some type of IRA or ETF or something that the SEC has allowed us to do, you know. If you want to go get your own Bitcoin, go get your own Bitcoin. And that's a huge part of this whole big picture is taking back our financial freedom. You know, we are all enslaved to the system right now, whether you believe it or not. We are all slaves to the system, and this is a way that maybe we can get a little bit of that financial freedom back. Anything else, guys?
The cold storage you talked about.
Yeah.
When you put it into the cold storage, it's at that particular value. Does it grow in the cold storage, or, you know, when you bring it back out?
Yeah, great question. So I'm gonna give you the long answer to this, okay? Whenever you buy Bitcoin, you don't actually buy the Bitcoin, okay? And let me explain that. All the Bitcoin, all 21 million, live on the blockchain that is secured in that decentralized network that I talked about. So when you purchase Bitcoin, what you're actually purchasing is a key to unlock your Bitcoin. Okay? So the Bitcoin never leaves the blockchain. It's always there. What you own is a key that says that you own 0.5 or 1.5 or 20 Bitcoin, right? So to answer your question, no, it's not like the value is locked in when you move it to cold storage. It's just a way to get your key off of the internet, okay? So that it can't be possibly hacked or something, right?
So it's just like you put a silver coin in your safe.
Exactly.
Silver will still go up and down.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, you still own your 0.5. Right. Bitcoin goes up to 30,000, you got 50.
Yeah.
It's all the Miami,
That's all you're on.
the mayor come out with the city, what they call CityCoin.
Yeah, so that's funny. We had another person ask about that in the other class. I haven't really looked into it much. I know that the mayor of Miami is a young guy, very forward thinking, and he wants Miami to become basically the crypto capital of the nation. A lot of, you know, kind of like how New York is New York and LA is LA. Well, Miami, they want to be known for crypto now. They want it to be kind of a normal thing to come there and make purchases with their city coin, you know, and there'll probably be a little discount for, you know, you get to Miami, you got, you know, $1,000 to play around with, you go to, you know, wherever to exchange that $1,000 for 1,000 Miami city coins, and there'll probably be like a little discount for doing that when you make purchases with that. And you're going to see more and more and more of that happening.
Is that a real Bitcoin or is that another meme coin?
No, that's not a Bitcoin. It's just another crypto.
I mean another cryptocurrency. But is it a real currency or is it a?
Oh yeah, it's a real cryptocurrency. I mean,
Okay.
the beautiful thing about crypto is everything is open source. So I can go and on the blockchain, and I can see the code that makes Bitcoin. I can copy and paste it into this software, and I could create Robert's Wealth Management coin if I wanted to. It'll have all of the same characteristics of Bitcoin, but I could make little tweaks here and there and make it whatever I want.
Because they said he made $15 million for the city already in like 3 months.
Right.
Yeah.
And he's got and that's a huge part of, you know, all these coins.
From taxes.
Yeah, yeah. And he's just creating a community, you know. He's got that community of, what do they call them, Miamians, or, you know, they're all, you know, he wants to get all of their wealth or a good bit of it into this thing, right? I mean,
Yeah, it's hard to grasp, so.
yeah. Just wait till we talk about NFTs and the metaverse.
Yeah.
It's a whole other animal.
Yeah, we don't want to be there, but, we will.
Yeah, well, you know, I'm not gonna live there, but I'm gonna make money from it.
Yeah.
I own a piece of real estate in the metaverse.
Yeah.
Yeah, for real. Yeah, it's crazy, crazy times. Anything else, guys? I know there's probably some other questions y'all got, and I'd love to answer them all. Just email me or, you know, give me a call, and I'll try to get to everybody. But I hope I was helpful tonight, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. And yeah, no problem.
Well, Brandon, you got a check for it?
Give me a second. Let me